Is it over? Is it truly over? I don't know. I don't know if anyone really knows, but I know that many think the writing is definitely on the wall. And I think at this point in time, perhaps they're right. I think it's time to throw in the towel. I think it's time to declare small press publishers are essentially dead in the direct market, which means there really is no need to go with a small press publisher if they can't get you in stores. If you are with a publisher and their whole plan is to simply crowdfund, well, guess what? You can do that on your own. No longer do we need small press publishers. There is just solo publishing. And if you want to be published, then I think need to start you need to start aiming higher. I guess that would be the way to phrase it. For Nyobi to continue in shops, if it's not going to be through Antarctic Press, then I have to aim higher, which means I have to aim for Image Comics. Now, having Eric Larson on the show twice and us breaking down the entire structure of Image Comics, which I'm actually going to have to go back and listen to again just to make sure I got this all right. I'm not even sure if it's worth the time to submit. I mean, we will submit. We will get rejected. I mean, that's because we're not what they're looking for. They don't want Bad Girl books. The only one that they do is Witchblade, and it's a very toned down version from the Michael Turner Witchblade that we all love and remember. But nonetheless, we will submit anyway. But why? Well, because Antarctic, the company that I am with, was with, and I do say was with quotation marks and a question mark, and I'll go over why, has put a hiatus on creator-owned IPs due to the Diamond bankruptcy news, which only actually seems to get worse. However, I was on a stream the other night. I won't mention the stream or mention the person that told me this bit of news, but there are people with intent to buy Diamond, and I guess one of the intended parties really is about saving comics, and that I was told I should be enthusiastic about the news, that we would all know something after the 1st of April. Is it April? No, I was told in 3 or 4 days. So the February 1st, sometime after February 1st, there was supposed to be news about buyer intent, someone looking to buy Diamond Comics with the purpose of saving it, someone who knows comics, someone that we all know. This is what was told to me by an LCS owner, very popular one, by the way. Someone that we all know and respect in the comic book industry. Now, I've heard these things before, and I'm not saying that this fellow is full of shit. I don't think he is. I think he's onto something here. But until it comes into fruition, until there's a buyer that has great ideas that intends to save comics, we got to assume that Diamond is selling off all the assets to pay off what debt they can, and then call it a day. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's over. And I hate to be the pessimist in this because I've been the optimist for so long. I have fought this battle for so long about being in shops to the point of nauseam, to the point where people really got tired of hearing me say it. But to me, that was the cream of the crop, right? To me, that was, Shawn Michaels fulfilling the childhood dream of becoming WWE champion. Well, my childhood dream was to see my comic book in store shelves, and not just one store shelf, but many store shelves. And it was great. And it's an accolade and a feather in my cap and a bucket list item that can never be taken away from me now. Even if everything was to collapse today, and it looks like that it is, even if everything was to collapse today, I can say that I was at the dance. I may have only been a small part of the dance, but my name, my picture of my books, it's in the preview magazine. We're listed in all the sort of comic book data sites. CGC recognizes us. We're legit. Now, my problem is, actually, let's read the article first, and then I'll go over my gripes, if you will. My grapes. So, Joe Ming Dunn, if you guys don't know that name, he is the brother of Ben Dunn, and he is the actual owner of Antarctic Press. Many think it's Ben. And while Ben may have started it, his brother's the one that actually owns it. and is responsible for all the financial decisions that go along with it. Where Ben more is more like Stan Lee is to Marvel, where Ben is like the figurehead, the spokesman, the name that everyone recognizes, but he's not the one. I'm sure he gets suggestions and can influence his brother to some degree, but really it's Joe Ming Dunn who calls all the shots. And so he released a letter, and I read this as soon as it hit, and I knew Rich Johnson would be covering this, because every time the Dunns put out a letter regarding this situation, Rich Johnson is capitalizing on this and making his rounds. I was going to do a video on this yesterday. In full disclosure, I talked to Ben Dunn yesterday. And I don't mean via, a couple of Facebook messages. I mean, we were on stream together yesterday, and I got to ask him some real questions about this situation, which I'll go over here in a bit. Joe Ming Dunn, publisher and owner of Antarctic Press, has informed their comic book creators, such as me, about changes happening to the publisher going forward as a direct result of Diamond Comics' decision to enter Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, here's what gripe number one. Gripe number one. And I would say this to both Joe Ming and Ben, is that when you want to address your creators, yes, putting a public Facebook post so that as many eyeballs can see it is great. But not all your creators are going to be looking for this, and not all your creators are going to notice this, and there's lots of questions that go along with this. So what I would do is I would email your creators one by one and let them know what their status is. That's what I would do. That's gripe number one. All right, let's move on. To all creators, it's not just me. I have been asked quite a bit about the bankruptcy of Diamond. To be frank, I saw the writing on the wall some time ago, as they were a very consistent payer on time. And when things start to become a bit wonky, I started reading the tea leaves. Personally, regarding AP, I'm taking a don't panic, pragmatic, let us see what happens approach to the situation. Now, I'm going to pause it there. I think that's what everyone is doing to a certain degree. And I think that is the brave face that many are putting on. But I think behind the scenes, and I can't be for certain, but I think behind the scenes, it is panic. It is dismal. We are throwing dirt onto the coffin of Diamond Comics. I just think that's the way it is. Okay? I'm assuming many people with financial interests are all coming to bear, and we'll see if enough smart people can pull things together to make Diamond stronger and more stable than before. I would give up on that dream, Joe. 100% just don't even bother, because here's why. Even if someone was to pull this out of the dirt, bring it back to life, give it resurrection, if you will, there really is nothing to resurrect, because all the big time players are gone, and even all the small time players are jumping ship. We've already heard of a few different companies saying they're done with Diamond, they're not going back regardless. So what's going to be left if someone resurrects Diamond? It's just going to be skulls and bones, and the whole skeleton won't even be complete. It's a waste of time. Don't bother. Screw it. You know what I mean? Screw it. Go big or go home. Maybe, something like Image Comics needs to buy up Antarctic Press, absorb some of the titles and some of the things that are going on there, and just make it a bigger company. Or maybe AP needs to join forces with another company to form a bigger company, so that one of these larger distributors will take us in. Because if it's just on AP alone, and although AP is celebrating its 40th year anniversary, they're one of the longest running small-time publishers in existence. That's not enough for Lunar and Penguin. The sales numbers have to be there. The popularity has to be there. And quite frankly, it just isn't. Yes, Ninja High School is a popular book back in the day. So was Gold Digger. So was Warrior Nun. But the problems are that most younger people, don't even know what these things are anymore. And the people that did know are like, wow, Ninja High School is still a thing? I haven't read that since the 90s. So, despite the legacy and the legend that AP to me is, just not big enough to get the distribution that we need to remain in the direct market. Not without Diamond. Okay? Diamond, you were our only hope, and you are now gone. That's just the way it is. Let's continue on here. Antarctic Press is in a situation like many independent publishers where Diamond was a substantial portion of our income. Let me correct that. It was pretty much all of your income. But over the last 40 years of our existence, we have also seen and been involved with many things within the industry. We have never had the financial position of power to do or enact change, which we believe would have been beneficial to the industry, which should have been done long, long ago. But that's an entirely different discussion. Let me pause there. Everyone is an armchair quarterback, right? Everyone's going to sit back and go, you know what, I could have done this. Or if they had just listened to me. Well, the thing is, if our ideas were so great, we would have done them ourselves, right? You know, I love listening to so-called experts, like a level 2, and they'll tell you everything you need to do in marketing to become a big success, but they are not big successes. You know what I mean? Like I love people who give advice but don't know how to apply that same advice to themselves. It's not worth listening to. In any case, Antarctic Press is fortunate that I believe we can sustain the market change until things get figured out at Diamond. What if things do not get figured out with Diamond, which, odds are that's how it's going to be, right? What if things don't? Does AP go belly up? Does it go bankrupt? Does it go, direct to crowdfunding? Do they, try and join forces with another company, which would be my suggestion? I don't know. We'll see. Our plan is to do business as usual with Diamond in the short term. Well, what's the short term? Like 3 weeks? While the invoices due prior to bankruptcy will need to be looked after at some point, my guess is pennies on the dollar. Well, no, you should get full dollar or stop providing books. As they say, it is what it is, and what it is what it is, and what it is what it shall be, because we are moving differently here. Actually, I threw that part in myself. We will most likely have to eat those costs as this is probably will not be resolved for some time, if ever. If ever. You know why Image pulled out from Diamond? Because they were still doing business with Diamond to distribute to international countries like Canada. They pulled out because they just weren't getting any love. It's just the way it is. We have a stream of books coming through the pipeline, which are arriving over the next weeks. We will ship Diamond their books in the hopes that they will honor their commitment to them. Good luck. I am not holding my breath, but the books are already printed and they're being shipped from us from overseas, so we'll be holding the bag on those. I wonder if this means that you will just stop printing books for a while. Pencils down after your current, crop has been sent and delivered. If they do not pay for those books, it will answer quite a few questions from our perspective. Well, guess what? They're not going to pay for the books. They have no money to pay for the books. If they had money to pay for these books, they would not be in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Probably soon to be Chapter 7. You know what I'm saying here? There is going to be no payment for these books. They can't pay their larger business partners, let alone the small little guy in Texas. And if they do, it'll be a miracle. It'll be a Christmas miracle of 2026. So that's probably how long it's going to take. So I agree. If you already made commitments and the books are already printed, there's no sense of just keeping them at the warehouse. Get them out to the people. But at some point, and I would make it very soon, Mr. Dunn, and I'm talking to both Mr. Dunns here, if they do not pay for those books, and it does answer questions from your perspective, my question to you is, what happens then? Because that's what your creators want to know, okay? And here's a couple of the books. Ninja High School 200 could very well be, by the way, the last Ninja High School distributed by Diamond, which kind of blows me away to think about that. And I'll tell you why that blows me away to even think about that, because I'm in the book. I have a credit in the book. I've written a 10-page solo story for Ichiku that will appear in this book, in Ninja High School 200. I'm honored. And if that's the last Ninja High School 200 to be distributed in shops, and goddamn, I hope that we make it that far. It is around the corner. Then I'm a part of it. And that's epic to me. I'm a part of comic book history. For better or for worse. you know? And then we'll have to decide how to go forward. Well, how you will go forward is not do business with Diamond, not ship them any more books. Why are you going to owe money to creators, send those books to Diamond, and not get paid for them? It makes no business sense. Even Eric July do business differently than that, right? Now, here gets to the juicy part. Now, unfortunately, this will impact our creator-owned projects, such as Nyobi. They don't say that, but let's throw that in there. Let's change May to just take May out of it. We have to prioritize things which can make us immediate funds so that we can control their production and rights. In other words, for instance, we can do crowdfunding campaigns that will help stabilize our income, which we are unable to do with all, that should be says all, of our creator-owned projects because we do not have those rights. Therefore, and in bold not capital letters, but in bold letters, we have put a hiatus on some creator-owned books because of that. Now, I like how the word some is. You mean there are going to be other books that you are going to lose money on? This should be turned into all. If you don't own the rights, the IP, Antarctic Press, don't publish it right now because it's not worth it for you and it's not worth it for the creator. It's unfair to the IP holder, like someone like me, to give you our hard, our blood, sweat, and tears, our work, and not get paid for it because you're not getting paid. That is a cycle of lunacy. It's just insane, right? I rather, be cut off by the balls than be strung along and not get paid. I'd just rather know the truth up front, deal with that, and then move on. So therefore, we put a hiatus on some creator-owned books, which is most, if not all. Because of that, in other words, we have to prepare for the contingency of Diamond not following through. And because of that, we cannot continue to hold the bag on the debts associated with that. We hope that this will all start again or change again. And again, we must wait and see. Well, forget about hope because hope starts with an H, stupid. And I'm not calling anyone stupid. That's just a line from a skit that I thought was funny. But don't hope on this. If you're putting all your eggs in the basket of hope, forget it. It's done. It's been buried. I'm burying it now, right? Here's what they should do. They should either join forces with another company and become a larger company so that we can get distribution, or fucking pack it in, right? If I was the Duns right now, I would say, you know what? I would have a meeting, right? I would get all the editors together and as the head of it, and I'm just, fantasizing here. But I would say we did 40 years. Gentlemen, it was a good run. It's time to close the business of Antarctic Press. Move on with life. And for the IP that they do own, allow Ben Dunn to crowdfund them. And that's it. Don't even bother using the AP logo anymore because I think it's done, right? And I don't mean to throw in a bad Ben Dunn pun, but it is done, And I think celebrating 40 years as a celebration of 40 years of actually existing, which is a milestone all on its own, may be the best way to go out. It's like the end of the Matrix. It's the end of the world, but we're going out with a party, right? Now, I know in the eyes of AP, they don't see this as over yet. But if you can read in between the lines here, it's over. It's over. Having talked with Ben Dunn on stream last night, I said, well, here's the problem that I have, sir. I said, you have Nyobi on a 5-issue contract, okay, for 2 years. I have to give you 5 issues in 2 years. That's a lot of time. We can do that. It's not a problem. We're entering the second year, and we have 2 issues coming, right? I'm currently working. We're 9 pages in to issue 4 of 5. You have no we on Nyobi's end have no problem meeting our end in agreement of the contract. The problem now is that Antarctic Press cannot. They cannot publish our books. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that there are 3 issues of a 5-issue miniseries that are currently in circulation at comic book shops, and we're unable to provide them through the direct market the other 2. At least not anytime soon. I mean, if we put our eggs in the hope basket, which I did for a long time, but I'm starting to come to the realization that the ride is over. At least the direct market ride is over. If if something happens 6 months down the road and AEP says, "Yep, let's continue to resume Nyobi," then we will gladly do so. But I am under the impression, after talking with Ben last night, that this gig is over. Okay, at least for Nyobi. You know, I've been told that the contract, would essentially be canceled with no penalty on either side, which is good. That's fine with me. And that we are free and open to find and search for a new publisher if we so wish. And I just may do that. I don't know yet. I will wait around for a little while we work on Nyobi 4, while we put that book together, while we run our crowdfunder campaign, to see what news develops between now and then. But I don't really expect this big turnaround. I'm a cynic. I've been a cynic for most of my life. I kind of see the worst and expect the worst and sort of hope for the best. And if the best happens, then great, bonus for me. And if it's the way that I actually think it's going to be, then it's no shock and no surprise and no disappointment, because I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. My problem is if this ended on issue 5 and we had all 5 issues out, no problem. But the thing is that there are people who read and buy Nyobi that only know it through the comic book shop. Okay? There's this one guy, that does Nyobi reviews. Nice black man, old nerd reviews from Wyoming, I think was his name. He gets his books through the LCS, right? New Comic Book Day. And he's read the first 3 issues of Nyobi, and now he's not going to be able to get 4 and 5 in this method. The only way to finish this miniseries now is you're going to have to stop buying it at the comic book shop, because it's not going to be there, and you're going to have to come to my Kickstarter and get these issues directly, which is not how I really want to do it. Yes, I do want to do Kickstarters, and yes, I want to run those issues on there, but I also wanted them for $4.99 at the comic book shop for those people who read Nyobi in that manner. That's how we were starting to grow. Now we don't have that anymore. Now it's back to ground zero. It's back to the basics. And not only is it back to basics, it's back to the local basics. And I'll tell you what that means in a minute. Let's continue on with this article, because there is more. Continuing on from Joe Ming Dun. We have attempted over the past year to get Penguin, Random House, or Lunar to carry our books, but to no avail. Yeah, because we're just not big enough for them. The frustration of that process is that we have to email them multiple times and gotten maybe one response from them. And when I follow up, I am ghosted. Yeah, and they just don't care. If you're not Marvel, DC, or Image, they really don't care, right? And the other companies that will have a shot, maybe Zenescope, maybe Dynamite, outside of that, no one cares about the small press publisher anymore. Okay? You're going to see comic book shops dry up of your favorite small press books. Pretty soon, it's just going to be like the main 5 or 6 companies, and that will be it. Comic books are slimming down, my friends. Where they're getting rid of all the fat. I wish I had an insider look to who I could talk to about to those distributors, but I do not. So after 40 years, the Duns have no inside info at Diamond, so I guess that's not a good sign. So I'm assuming they do not want to pick up publishers like us at this time. That is their prerogative. I'm not upset about it, but we were not given a chance to give them our sales pitch. Well, look, they don't need a sales pitch, and I'll tell you why. You know, they can look at the sales that have happened, right? Hell, I've shown them on stream. You know what I mean? And the sales just aren't there. They're not there. Okay, not. They're there in a small sense, in a stable sense for a small company, but they're not there in the sense to appeal to a Lunar or Penguin Random House. We're not selling hundreds of thousands of books. We're just not. I was one of the best-selling books in the last 2.5 years, and you know how many copies I sold? And I'm proud of it, but it was 3,000. We're not big enough. Let's continue on. While I personally appreciate all of our creator-owned projects, I understand if you need to move on, and of course, we will not inhibit that in any way. I do plan to move on. I want to thank Antarctic Press for giving us a shot, because it's not their fault that we can't continue, right? They didn't kill Diamond. I didn't kill Diamond. Diamond killed Diamond. It's, Brett screwed Brett. You know what I mean? Diamond screwed Diamond. And in a sense, then we all got screwed, which is fine. I know how to go back to basics. That's not a problem. And I know that there are other publishers out there that may or may not want what it is that we do. Okay? And the other thing is, and this is something that every person needs to learn in life. And I know it's a really simple cliche, but it is so goddamn true. It's that nothing lasts forever. I had to learn that lesson the hard way when I was 15 with an ex-girlfriend. Nothing lasts forever, man. It's just the way it is. So it is what it is. Now let's go on and read again. I cannot predict the future. Well, no one can. We have taken some steps to try and weather up the current storm. If we are successful or not is yet to be seen. But in the over 40 years of our existence as a publisher, I can honestly say that we've seen it all when it comes to this industry. No, you haven't. Not yet. I think we're seeing it all now, though. Again, we will. Again, when we figure it out, we'll try and keep everyone up to date. Thanks for being patient with us during this period of time. And then Rich Johnson actually adds something to this article. He adds a whole 2 sentences here. He says, there are similar stories affecting many comic book publishers right now. Antarctic Press, however, are one of the few being open about it. Well, they have to be open about it. And I'll tell you why. Because they deal with so many third parties, so many IP holders like myself that own our own IPs, that they might as well just be open with this stuff, because they're going to be flooded with questions. And they're flooded with questions anyway, right? Because Antarctic Press also does anthology series, which relies strictly and mostly, if not all, on creator-owned IPs. It's how Nyobi got her start in the direct market. Was we were published in Exciting Comics 17, 18, 19, and 20, right? And those sales were good enough for them to say, hey, let's give this Nyobi thing a shot as our own deal. That's how we broke in. So I suspect, and they didn't say it, but I suspect after seeing the dozen questions on the last post from creators asking about Planet Comics, about horror comics, about Exciting Comics, those are all the anthologies that AP has, and if not more, what their futures are, because there are people who submitted stories for these anthologies that are still a year out from being published. Chances are, guys, your shit's not getting published. You might as well move on. Barring some sort of miracle. And I hope there is a miracle. But I have to go under what I've read in this letter from Joe Ming. This isn't Ben being optimistic. This is coming from the guy who owns the company saying, we will not go into debt for this shit. And I get it. This is it. This is why I gotta move differently to steal a line from Eric July, right? And it's not even moving differently. It's moving originally. Well, what does that mean? It means I'm going back to local. I'm going back to the basics. I'm going back to what brought us to the dance in the first place. It's not even going back because I never really left. I left the local scene, not by choice. But what I mean is, we are sticking with Kickstarter. I will be on Kickstarter as long as we write and draw Nyobi. There is going to be no change in that. Unless a Kickstarter somehow disappears or we're no longer welcome there. And at that point, it will be the end of Nyobi, period. But as long as there's a Kickstarter and they welcome us, there will be a Nyobi at some point. So that's never going to change. But what has changed is during the last 5 years where I've been canceled, and I've been uncanceled now to a large degree, is that I would run conventions. And I would do free comic book day, and I would do comic book store signings, and I would do events at the library and cosplay events and all this sort of local stuff. And not just locally, but abroad, right? Cities that are a couple hours away, maybe go over to the next province. I've been as far as Calgary, tabling at a convention, and that's way on the other side. That's on the West Coast. And I plan to do that stuff again. Okay? So I plan to strengthen my local presence. I plan to strengthen our Kickstarter presence. I'm not going to bother with Fund My Comic or Indiegogo. Fund My Comic doesn't have the functionality I need. And Indiegogo couldn't even pay me the $200 they owed me. We had to refund backers. So down with those. Kickstarter or bust. And sell through my eBay store, Shopify store, Drive-Thru Comics, a couple other places I might set up. And most importantly, face-to-face, hand over fist conventions and events where we're collectible events, flea markets, whatever it has to be. To set up a table, to bring comics and sell them. All right? While we're doing that, we will submit to other publishers. Mainly Image. Image is where my eyes are set, my beady little South Park eyes, and I already know that we're probably not what they're looking for. Image is pretty picky, and they generally go with names that already have, a position in comic books, recognizable names. And while I've been around for 10 years and been published for 5, I don't think, my name is that recognizable in the world of comics, but maybe it is. I don't know. I think Nyobi is more recognizable than LP, right? But that's fine. And if we don't have the power to get the Image, that's fine too. I just want the last 2 issues out in comic book shops, right? I don't care who puts them out. I want to finish that story for the readers that have been buying it through the LCS for $4.99. That would be great. And I don't know if we can do that. We'll definitely finish the miniseries. If you are a person who has been buying it at the comic book shop for $4.99, my apologies to you. I don't think we can continue to deliver that to you. What we can do is, give you issues 4 and 5 and provide you the links to our Kickstarters. And that's where you can come and get the issues, or you can wait until they hit eBay or my other online stores. The best we can do right now, right? So I'm going to consider this door closed unless if, Ben Dunn kicks it back open and says, LP, we need you. We need Nyobi. Everything is fine. Let's put out issues 4 and 5. Let's get them out there. We'll gladly do it. By then, we'll probably have the books done anyway, right? My plan also was to introduce Savage Sin to Antarctic Press, whether it be as its own title or through the anthology Jungle Comics. That too now looks like that, not even looks like, it's off the plate, right? It's off the plate. I will submit Savage Sin also to Image Comics once we have the 3rd issue done. And if you are a publisher out there and you are with Lunar or Penguin Random House and you are interested in either Nyobi or Savage Sin or both, and keep in mind the caveat is you have to have comic book shop distribution, then please, Nyobicomic@gmail.com, email me with the details. Maybe we can work something out. If not, then it's back to basics, back to local, back to Kickstarts and conventions, and just keeping the dream alive. I will forever, I want to end it this way, by the way. I will be forever grateful to the Dunn brothers and to everyone else that works at Antarctic Press for giving us the shot to be out on shelves, for the accolade of being the second highest selling comic for them in 2.5 years, for allowing me to put that AP symbol on the top left-hand corner of my books. You get us available in the hands of readers who may never have heard of Nyobi before and putting us in shops, okay? You allowed my dream to come true. Be it for a short while, we still were at the dance. Maybe we can be there again. I want to thank them. I have no animosity towards them. I have no hatred for them. I have nothing but love for that company. And I have nothing but desire to continue on with them. But, it's right out of the words of Joe Ming Dunn. The writing is basically on the wall, and he saw it for quite some time. And the more rumors that I hear, the less it sounds like, there's going to be a rebound. Outside of that one LCS guy who said that there's buyers, who might surprise us, who could turn this around. That's all speculation until something actually comes down the pipeline, and we'll see what happens. But the final word on this is, I was told the contract, is nil and void, no penalty. We're free to do what we want. And I am going to run Nyobi underneath that assumption that AP can no longer put us out. The contract is over and we're free agents. Guys, let me know what you think down in the comments section below. What have you heard about this diamond disaster? What insights do you have? Down off in the comments section. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely back our Kickstarters, buy off of eBay, and stay tuned from a word from our sponsor. And just who is today's sponsor? Well, it's me, Austin. It's been me all along. That's right. I am my own sponsor. We do our own business and we do it differently here. And one of the things I would like to show to you here today is our eBay page. If you're looking for those Nyobi variants you may have missed in the past, maybe you're missing out on a few back issues. Maybe you never read Savage Sin. Maybe you're a fan of Paul Green and you never got his cover the first time around, or a John Stinsman, or a Joel Souza, or a Randy Green, or a Justin Hunt, or a Greg Bo Watson, and the list goes on. Jamie Tyndall. Here it is, guys. Chris Enoch, R.B. White. It's all here. Trade paperbacks, single issue, Savage Sin, Nyobi Origins, Nyobi Outbreak, Nyobi Birthright. It's all here for you to catch up on. And while you're doing that, why not look good while you do it? Come to the Nyobi Spring Store. The links there will be in the chat. You guys can get something for the women, something for yourself, maybe a nice coffee mug, maybe a nice hoodie. How about an awesome, sweatshirt, poster, or wall flag? I'm going to be adding new stuff to this store as well. So come and get what's here. Come and get it while it's hot. Nyobi Teespring Store, Nyobi the eBay store, and stay tuned for more news coming soon. Peace.